In February of 1984, IBM released the portable PC 5155, boasting its portable design and direct performance equivalents to the standard IBM personal computer. Today, we're going to take a look at this machine and clean it up. Although this machine is considered portable, it's not really that portable. There are no batteries in this machine. You still have to plug it straight into the wall. It's really only portable because of the monitor and built-in keyboard and such, so you can take it places. Where it comes in with this built-in keyboard. It actually latches in like that, and then you pull these tabs to pull it out. However, you can pull the whole keyboard out. If you pull these little feet, you can actually pull the whole thing out and move it wherever you'd like on the desk, and that is actually necessary for the disassembly of this machine. The keyboard is disgusting. It has collected funk up here in the cable bay. There's looks like maybe a little bit of even corrosion right there. We have two 5 1/4 floppy disk drives here, and they did actually come with the little safety things so the heads don't get damaged in transport, which was nice because I had to transport this machine about 300 miles. I have never turned this on. I have no idea if it works, and I really don't want to turn it on until I learn more about how the power supplies, if they're safe or not. I know I'm familiar with the term reefa caps, and I know that they can be catastrophic if they are old and they want to blow up, but I don't know how to tell if there are any in here or not because I am not that experienced, and I've really only dug into this a little bit. I've never dug into the power supply. So here we are on the back of the machine. You can see the handle that you carry this with. There's an IBM badge up here, and we have this little door that's kind of difficult to open. I'm sure it was easier when the machine was new, but I have a lot of trouble getting this open. Once you have it open, we get access to all the goodies back here. We've got our video outs, our parallel, our serial, keyboard connector that's routed to the front. Then we have our power supply with our big nice switch and our plug. And that's pretty much it here in the back. There's actually a nasty bit of, I can't even tell what it is. I can't tell if it's actually corrosion or not. I think it's from where there used to be like a rubber seal in here of some kind to help dampen vibration and stuff, and it is just destroyed. It's gone. Like there's nothing left, and as a result, we actually do have a little bit of corrosion here on some of these cards. But I've peeked in here, and I didn't really see any corrosion under the board, and we will pull it out here today to make sure. But there is a little bit in here, and it's going to be a little bit of work to clean this machine up. Back to the front of the machine now. To start disassembling this, you actually have to remove these 6 screws that are along the front bezel of the machine, and then the whole thing just kind of slides out. So I'll go ahead and skip ahead here and pull those out. Here we can get a much better look at the case of the machine. There's actually a stamp here for August 31st of 1983. So these machines were clear into production in the last quarters of 83 before they were released into 1984. This is that bezel I was talking about, that nasty looking foam. I think there was a foam strip or something here, or a glue strip of some kind, but it's just nasty. The whole case of this machine is incredibly dirty. It may not translate too well in video, but the whole thing has almost like a brown tinge to it, and it has a smell. And that would be probably from where it came from. The whole place that I got it from had a smell, and unfortunately it is stuck in this machine, and it is stuck in the other machines I got from that place, at least until I deep clean them. I haven't done that yet, but I imagine that hopefully that will fix it. Here with the machine back on the bench now, the shell is off. We can actually see the shielding. There's a lot of shielding on this machine, but it also shows you that this faceplate is kind of part of it, and I haven't been able to figure out if that fully comes off yet. But there's a lot of work to be done to it. I did mention that I had been in this before, but you might notice that we have some damage near pretty much all of the screw holes. They're either rusted out, which I'm hoping is just from the screws. Someone had over tightened them at some point, and it had caused the plastics to even crack on the far side. A lot of them I can't even like get out of the screw hole. They just kind of unthread from the case and then hang out there. And someone just used a drywall screw, I think, for this one up here. By someone having been in here before, that maybe this thing is safe to operate, but I've never powered it on, and I will not be powering it on today because I am unsure if it is safe to operate. We'll start here with the shielding around the main portion of the PC. There are a couple of hex head screws, but they also have a flat head. So I'll just be using a flat head to take them out today. Once you have all the screws off, the shielding kind of just slides out. It's not the greatest because it gets stuck on the keyboard cable down here. It kind of slots into a kind of a forged assembly up here in the front. But that's just the shielding. And here we can see the guts of the PC. From right here, we get a pretty good perspective of the motherboard, and it is heavily obscured by the two 5 1/4 drives. But we can see our AT power cable connectors here, all of our cards right here. And from what I understand, in this case, despite having 8 ISA slots, 4 of them are pretty much obscured by the floppy disk drives, so you'd have to have real short cards to even take advantage of those. I guess now we can start removing cards. Well, I apologize, I forgot to hit record when pulling the rest of the cards out, but here we have our parallel card. Then we have our floppy disk controller card here, which also has this port on the back. I'm not familiar if that's just for connecting another external drive or what that is. So if you know, please let me know below in the comments. And then the last card we have is the color graphics card. So I believe that means it's a CGA card. It says color graphics on the top, but I'm not familiar enough to know if that's true or not. It does have an IBM chip labeled for 1981 right there. A bunch of Texas Instrument chips and a ton of other chips that I'm just not familiar with. We also have this small bridge wire here between these two chips, and I am completely unfamiliar with if that's a factory thing or if someone else has been in this machine and they did that. I truly don't know the answer to that at all. Here we can get a closer look at the drives. And here we can see all of our ISA slots. 88 processor, and I believe that is an AMD chip, if my memory serves me right, because that looks like the AMD logo right there. So that's pretty cool to see. Got some dip switches over there. I have not been able to identify a kind of clock battery in here yet. No, I apologize. I was able to get an Allen key to pull those screws and get that out, but that was way too hard to do on camera. There was such a tight space back here. But I did get both of the drives out. This was the top drive. From what I can tell, it doesn't really look like the caps on the top board right here have leaked, but that doesn't mean that caps below haven't. I can't tell if that's hot glue or if that one just dumped its guts everywhere. And this was the bottom one. I'm sure the jumpers are set accordingly. This is that rust I was talking about. Like, I mean, that thing, it comes off of my finger. I don't think this thing would work if I turned it on. More like oxidation all over these. You can just see it on everything. Like, everything just looks dirty and gross. But that's the floppy drives. Now with the system back under main focus here, we can see a little bit more of the board. You can see what I was talking about with this whole front piece being like it's like, I don't know, if it's plastic, it is a super hard plastic because it feels like metal, and it just, I don't know, maybe it is plastic, but it feels rough. We can see more of the board here. There's more of these bridge wires all over the board, and I just don't. It looks so unprofessional for that to be like from the manufacturer, but I don't know. Maybe it is. I'm not super familiar with these PCs. But other than that, There's a million little sockets for what I assume is the RAM. To get the board out, we're going to have to pull the PC speaker. Here we have the whole board out of the computer now. We can see everything on here. You can see IBM's little no copying permitted down here because they were salty about PC clones. But we have our 8088 right there again, and a lot of other AMD branded chips here. And then I'm assuming this is mostly the memory bank down here. But these are those little bridge wires I was talking about. I mean, they seem to come off of like solder joints. So maybe these are from the factory. There's, like I said, there's hot glue on them, so it looks like they are. We have that empty socket up here. Maybe this is for the coprocessor. That would be my guess right there. Other than that, all we have is our AT keyboard connector, AT power supply connector, and then you got to add everything else. Here I've got the camera more mobile to show you the kind of like corrosion we're facing. It's mostly on this housing I was talking about for the floppies, where just like, I mean, it's been eaten away at whatever like humid environment this thing was stored in. It's just gotten exposed really bad, and even on this little grate that goes into the power or the CRT, you can see just like general like rust and dust along the frame right there. I have tried to get into this power supply before, but they built it in a really complex way that it's got to like fully come out of the system first, and I had a lot of trouble, and it was already missing screws when I got it, so I'm assuming someone's been in here before, but I wasn't really even able to peek in to know for sure. But we're not going to really be getting into that this video because I'm not at all familiar with CRTs, and I'm not familiar at all with IBM power supplies. So as fun as this switch is, this is about as far as we're going to go with this today.